the full board meeting of the Medical Radiologic Technology Board. I'll call the meeting to order. It is June 23rd, 2023, and it is 0900 right now according to my clock. We'll start with a roll call.
Okay, and I would note before we do the roll call that this meeting is open to the public at the above location. We're here at 1801 Congress Avenue, and we'll proceed by video conference as allowed under Texas Government Code Section 155.127. The location above shall have two-way audio-video communication, with each of the other locations during the meeting. The president or presiding officer of the board will be physically present at the location in the room listed. We are here in the building with the door open. And for the roll call, Dr. Kahn.
Present.
Dr. Beckman.
Here.
Ms. Brandt.
Here.
Ms. Landreth.
Here.
Mr. Moran.
Here.
Ms. Parker.
Here.
Ms. Waddell.
Here.
And I believe Ms. Lutz and Ms. Brown are unable to be here today. And Mr. Carlton is also unavailable. So I'll be assisting in the building here. And we've got other board staff available as well. And with that, you have a quorum and you can proceed.
All right, thank you very much. We'll move on to agenda item number 2, which is board member report.
And this is just an opportunity for any of the board members who have anything they need to share with their fellow board members. If nobody has anything, we can just move on.
All right, very good. We'll move on to agenda item number 3, which is executive director's report.
I can handle this one for Mr. Carlton since he is out. And the first item is on the budget, and I see that Mr. Estrada is here, so I will turn that over to him.
Thank you, Chris. Good morning, board members. So I'll be brief. You should have 2 reports in Laserfish for you to review. The first one is the executive report that gives a snapshot of the agency's financials through the end of May. Starting on page 3, the agency's expenditures are outlaid, and currently we're at 95% budget execution. With the remaining 5% we have on reserve for end-of-year projects and any emergencies that might come up. So if we don't use those, the 5% for anything else, we'll use them for the end of projects that we have planned. And starting on page 8, we have revenue collections by license type, and that information goes all the way back to fiscal year 2012. So as of May 31st, the agency has collected just under $29 million. That's about 96% of what we reported to the legislators that we would collect. So that's great for us. We're almost at 100%. And based on trending information, we should collect just about $37 million, which is about the same amount we collected last year. The report also includes additional information on the variances that are 10% or more between the fiscal years. That just gives more information as to why we had collected more or didn't collect more between those periods. The second report that you have available is the legislative appropriations request and update. So as of Sunday, the governor did sign the budget bill, and we came out lucky with no vetoed line items. So that's great for us. And just an overview on how legislation came out for us this biennium. The agency is receiving an additional $14.3 million more than what we were appropriated in the last biennium. Of that 14.3, 1.7 million is specifically for capital projects. We have 5 major projects that the legislators approved for us. Comparing the numbers to the last biennium, the agency is getting 38.3% more than what we did last time. And comparing our baseline operating budget from what we're getting this next biennium to this biennium, the agency is getting just over 44% more. So that's great news for us. We had a very successful legislative session this time. Traditionally, the agency receives about 40% of the revenues that we collect. So comparing our new appropriations to what we collected last year, that puts us just about 54%. So we still have a little bit more work to do next session. There are still some Article 8 agencies that receive 70% or more of the revenues that they collect. And also to add to that, the agency is getting an additional 35.5 new FTEs to support operations. So very successful year. So pending any questions, I'll hand it back to you, Chris.
Okay, thank you, Joey. Mr. Carlton also had on his report an internal audit update. There is a report in Laserfish for you. The internal auditors completed a report on the enforcement process. They did make a couple of findings. We are addressing those findings. The good thing about that is we do have some redundancies in place. So even those areas where we had findings, we did have other processes that were catching those, but you always want to clean that up. And then they're doing some follow-up on some other items. The last item I've got on here from Mr. Carlton would be a short legislative update. There's the main one that would affect this board, I think, would be House Bill 1998. That legislation passed and has been signed by the governor. It'll be effective on 9/1. It includes a couple of relevant things for you all. One is that we are going to be continuously subscribing all of our licensees to the National Practitioner Data Bank. So we won't only be relying on self-reports or hospitals reporting to us or employers. We will also, anytime a report is made to the data bank, we'll get a push notification that we can review that will kind of speed that process up. That will apply to all licensees. That'll be paid for with a surcharge on registration fees. It's not a lot. I think it's going to be about $5 a biennium. So that will help improve our kind of oversight and getting notice when we need it. The other part of that bill, it included a new funding mechanism for the physician health program that will allow the PHP program to do the initial evaluation and the participation fees will be waived. So there'll be no cost to the licensee for that. Now, of course, getting drug screened is expensive and you still have to pay for any other outside treatment that you're getting to be in compliance with your PHP agreement. But it does kind of reduce one barrier to participation that we're happy to see that. And I know PHP is very happy to have that as well so that they can serve more people and keep them practicing and seeing their patients and keep them getting the help that they need, which we all want. So that would conclude the executive director's report unless there are questions for me.
All right, seeing no questions, thank you so much. We'll move on to item number 4, which is the medical director report.
Yes, good morning, everybody, board members. I actually don't have anything for you this morning. If you have any questions, I'm available for them. Otherwise, I'll turn it back over to Chris.
All right, thank you so much. We'll then move on to item number 5, consideration and possible action regarding pending legislation.
Good morning, everyone. This is Scott Frischauer. For the litigation report, I'm kind of like Dr. Brett, don't have much of anything. Y'all don't have any suits pending against you. The medical board, as per usual, has a few suits going on where people are challenging final orders after a SOA hearing by the litigation staff and a final board order. We do have a couple of other lawsuits pending in federal court that have been around for a long time where the physician, thinks we shouldn't have taken an action and we acted somehow illegally. Again, those are just working through the system. The only one that's kind of interesting at this point is we do have one doctor who we revoked his license. He was it was his second time he had claims of sexual boundary issues against him. The litigation team took him all the way through SOA. We won on virtually every count. We revoked his license. He's appealed it. Right now it's pending before the Texas Supreme Court to decide if they will hear it or not. They're claiming board staff cited a rule that wasn't enacted until after these acts occurred. Therefore, we used the wrong law. We think we didn't use the wrong law, so we are pretty comfortable this will settle, but I will keep you updated as it goes along. I'll be glad to answer any questions if anyone has any.
All right, seeing no questions, thank you so much, Scott. We will move on to item number 6, Texas Physician Health Program.
Hello, Emily Doyle here. Thanks for having me. For 6A, I don't have any cases that require action on your part today. For B, the report on the emergent referrals, there are 2 case reports in your file. One of them was submitted later. It was an emergent referral that just went through this earlier this week. Those don't require any action on your part, but I'm happy to answer any questions about them if you have questions.
Any questions from the board members? You can proceed.
All right, and then lastly, there are two program activity report and drug screening reports in your information too. If you have questions about those, Rui, Bernardo, or I can answer.
Any questions from the board members? All right.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, moving on then to item number 7, discussion, recommendation, and possible action regarding applicants appearing concerning eligibility.
Yes, we have one licensure applicant that is appearing today. This applicant was originally scheduled to appear at the February 3rd board meeting, but failed to appear, and the board decided to have the applicant appear at this current board meeting, so no action was taken regarding this application at that meeting. This applicant is number 2560. It is an NCT relicensure applicant that previously had an NCT license issued by DISH from April 2012, which expired in August of 2015. The applicant was referred to appear before the committee due to their criminal history. The criminal history is outlined in your packet, but it does include a 2008 felony, a June 2019 felony, an October 2019 felony, and various misdemeanor charges. Some not associated with those felony charges and some associated with it. And the last arrest date was July of 2020 for a DWI, which did result in a conviction and 1-year probation. So because of the criminal history, the executive director did refer the applicant to appear for the board for their review and determination on the licensure application. Applicant number 2560. If you are present, if you could please unmute yourself. If you have an opening statement, you can present that at this time. If not, that's okay. The board will then just move forward with asking you questions about your application.
Good morning. How you doing? I'm Steven. How you doing?
Thank you.
At this moment, I have submitted all the paperwork and every thing that was needed for the TMB to consider the application to be reapproved. At that time, in 2015, the reason I did not get back my CEUs expired, and I was completely pretty busy at the podiatry office, and that's why I kind of overlapped on that part matter. But I was more as employed as a medical assistant, so I've been more focused on the medical assistant part, so that kind of overlapped that 2015 license. And I had a couple employments in the last couple of years at urgent cares and stuff like that, where I got my NCT license again, like where I got to go back to a class and, to consider for it, and trained again, just up to date. And I've just been waiting for maybe about a couple months already, because there's been some times that they messed up the email. I was supposed to take care of this last year, but there was some kind of stuff between me and the person from the TMB that we communicated 2 different emails, and that's what kind of happened last month. I'm sorry, the first meeting I was supposed to have with the board, but at this time I'll leave it on y'all and let me know. Thank you.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Grace, which one of the charges, which was it, the most recent one that was a DWI?
Correct. And that is outlined on page 4 of your committee summary. It was a July 29th, 2020 driving while intoxicated misdemeanor class B.
Okay. So since you had the DWI, what steps did the court have you take, or what steps have you taken to become alcohol free?
Actually, I have, I know my kids. I have a 8-month-old and a 4-year-old that kind of keep me in that shape. At that time, when that, fortunately, I don't have a financial to fight the court system and the police itself, because actually I came to find out that here in Texas, obviously you're not supposed to be drinking, but if you do get stopped or there's a police officer, that checks you out, you have a legal limit of 0.8 in your system to be in your car. It just depends on the officer that is coming at you. This all, I looked at it, and knowing that I went to, when they arrested me, whenever this happened, I got a blood sample, and my alcohol level was at 0.1. Unfortunately, I couldn't fight it. I didn't have the money to hire an attorney that was $15,000. But at this point, it's just my family looking forward to trying to go up back where I was at, like back in 2015, whenever I had both different types of first. I have, I assist a lot of patients through the times. There's, now I accomplished to get the national certification for medical assistant, but unfortunately my background kind of blocks me on that. It's been pretty hectic, but I show a lot at work. I was at a facility that they knew, but they also seen how I work. My ethics of work are really, really on point with when it comes down to inside the office. And I kind of have, that's my downfall, that I get too much involved when I'm in the offices. I, make sure everything's on point and that nothing's not going wrong. Knowing that myself, that I have this in my back that nobody really knows about, so I try to keep everything as much as possible organized to make sure that there's no mess ups at all, that everything stays on point at all times.
I had a quick question. What is your current employment? Where are you working right now? And what do you hope to do if you're granted the NCT license?
Well, see, at this time, I was employed at Willis Urgent Care in December. I left that opportunity there in December because it was just part-time. One of the facts that was because the NCT license was not done last year, where it's supposed to be in November time. They kind of like, well, you still don't have it, so we're kind of like gonna let you go a little bit, give you less hours. I was driving an hour and a half to work there, just PRN work. Now I have been going to interviews to two different offices. Actually, I got offered one office was offering me $25, but unfortunately the X-ray license was not done. That's when I asked the TMB if there was a possibility to forward this meeting or some kind of something to get this job. And then they're like, no, we can't. We have to wait till this time. Now it comes to just looking for employment at this time, from having a full-time, two 12-hour shifts at two different urgent cares. It's like going to kind of waiting to X-ray thing, kind of, because that's what they want. They want a cross person to be in X-rays, to want to be in MA. And I know it all. I mean, not all, but I know a lot of it. Right now, I actually, through the time of medical assistant, before I went through the NCT stuff, I started doing remodeling work here in the area, in my neighborhood area. And that's kind of what I've been doing, just kind of construction remodeling work with sub-outs from a couple of different commercial apartment complexes. But, I always looking forward to have backup You know, like just like I had the 2 different urgent cares whenever I was during COVID time. I had the AFC and their doctor's urgent care that, you know, my 3 days off, I would work at that urgent care. It's constant, but I was pretty busy. And, you know, even though I was under the physician orders in case of they needed an x-ray or something, the doctors were there. But other than that, you know, I miss it. I really do. Is just the opportunity of having to say, hey, yes, the NCT is current, and what can you offer me? You know, just like I said, like a month ago, I lost that opportunity of $25 an hour. It was great, but you know, it's like too good to be true at this moment. So they reduced it to $18 an hour. But then I came across with the fact that it's all the way, like it's 2 hours away from me, and it's really impossible to get back and forth with that pay. I understood at 25, but at 18 it was pretty hard with a lot of different stuff at the same time with kids and stuff. It's a little hectic. But looking forward for that, Nicholas.
So when you were on probation, you had probation of 3 years back in 2019, and then when you had your latest DUI, it was 1 year of probation to serve concurrently. When was the last, if I'm correct, when was the last time you or when did you complete your probation?
So my probation was supposed to be completed a year ago in February, but due to the lack of payment, ever since I went unemployed, I have not been paying my dues. So they extended it like another year due to the financial issue. You know, that's kind of what I was stuck at in 2021. No, I'm sorry, 2021. No, I'm sorry, 2022, October area, time, they asked me to pay the last balance, 500, and I will be turned this year in February. But due to the financial issues what I'm having right now, that's kind of what I'm stuck at.
Is there any monitoring component to that probation?
Yes,
Like drug testing? Sorry.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Actually, I go to them once a month. Actually, I just seen them like maybe about a week ago. I've been in compliance ever since I've been on probation. I always been in compliance. It's just, you know, I came across a couple of things. I don't know if you could see where the board asked me to write my side of the story of this. And I'm not trying to throw the blame much on people or anything like that, but you know, being in the wrong times and doing favors, and it kind of put me in that predicament at that time.
And is part of the probation complete abstinence from alcohol?
No, like
No.
like robbery or something like that, or
No, are they testing you for alcohol use or drug use?
oh yeah, they are. I mean, they're constantly once a month. Like I said,
So when was the last? Do you have a date that was your last drink, last use of drugs?
Last of everything, alcohol wise, was that date back in 2021, I believe, or 20. I have not, like I said, I have not drank like that. Drug wise, I have not done any kind of drugs besides smoking marijuana back in that time. But, you know, unfortunately, nothing like that. You know, like I said, taking care of the kids. Matter of fact, right now, I'm here taking care of the kids because my wife has to go to work. And even though I make a little bit more money, but it's like sitting here kind of depresses me. You know, like you should be like the provider, not just sitting there. I mean, it's vice versa. I just need to, you know, I'm like at the point that I'm just gonna sit here and wait. You know, but so
Any other questions from board members?
No.
All right, Ms. Unterborn, I guess back to you.
So now at this time, the board needs to make a motion regarding this individual's licensure application. There's no previous recommendation made by board staff or the executive director, so you have every option available. You can approve to be licensed as the NCT. You can deny. Those are obviously the two extremes, and then every option in the middle. If you're concerned, you can do a private PHP referral. You can approve with some type of order. Again, it's whatever the board feels is most appropriate for this applicant, and someone would need to make a motion and go through that process.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to grant licensure with PHP referral.
Okay, so this would be a private PHP
Private.
referral? Okay.
I'm sorry, what is PHP referral?
That is the physician's health program. And so you would receive information on how to contact them regarding setting up an initial consultation assessment to see if there is any sort of impairment of any kind.
And can I jump in here, Ms.
Of course.
Unterborn and Ms. Yarborough and Dr. Beckman, Dr. Khan, on this, do you want to issue the license only after you've had the PHP referral and he's been taken into the program? That's how it works, right, Ms. Unterborn? And if you could just kind of you walk all your board members through just to remind them, I think that would be helpful.
Of course. So if you would like a PHP referral, then board staff would help the applicant move forward with that PHP referral. And then upon receipt of the outcome of that, we won't know what the outcome is. We'll just receive from PHP that the issue is now considered resolved. Again, we don't know what that resolution consists of. That is confidential between the applicant and PHP. But then once board staff receives that resolution notification, then we can put the applicant on the next licensing period, which, as you know, we license NCTs and rad techs every week. So once board staff gets that resolution, again, we don't know what that consists of, but then that is our cue to then put the applicant on the next available licensing date.
Understood.
I have a question. When PHP does their initial assessment, if they determine at that point that this person doesn't have an impairment issue, do they just say it's resolved and send it back? Or do they all go through some kind of treatment?
In terms from what the licensure staff would receive, we would just receive notice that this referral has been considered resolved. Again, we don't know if they've determined there is no issue, no need for contract or participation, or there was a need for contract and enrollment. Again, we don't know that. We just get, this is now considered resolved. Now, if we get that it's considered not resolved, then that's a problem. And we would then have to, take it before the executive director and probably before y'all again, that this was returned to us unresolved.
But again, he won't get his license if it came back to Ms. Unterborn unresolved, so you don't
Correct.
lose the accountability over the individual.
Correct. Only if it came back resolved would we then be able to put him on the next available licensing date.
Okay.
I got one question, and this would take place, I guess I'd receive information via email. If I could go to to meet with this meeting for this.
Yes, there's an internal process and procedure that board staff follows to notify the Texas PHP of this referral, so they can already have some information regarding your licensure file, and then you would coordinate contacting with them to complete that process.
Interesting. I'm sorry, I've been having a lot of internet issues, and I'm barely having connection right now. I don't even know if my camera was on, but I'm seeing y'all, but I don't know if y'all see me, but I really appreciate y'all time and the opportunity. I tell you, I really miss being in action with work, especially helping patients. You know, I was, like I said before, going towards the LVN, the RN, going forward back in 2010 to 2014. I mean, I went through the associate, you know, trying to get into there, but kind of got discouraged whenever I had the background that came up whenever I was like 19, and kind of like, you know, I kind of like this situation, but I had to put money into it and kind of go through a lot of different things, and kind of got discouraged from it. I just decided to stay as a medical assistant. And like I said, I am with the NHA, I am certified with them through the national board for the medical assistant part. And I just, you know, stuff that has happened, I wish I could take back, but fortunately we're human. We can't predict that one. But I appreciate your time and your help. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I second the motion.
All right, so we have a motion from Dr. Beckman and seconded by Ms. Landreth, I believe right before Mr. Moore. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? All right, the motion to grant licensure with the PHP referral is approved. Okay, Ms. Unterborn?
Applicant 2560, you will receive a separate email from board staff that contains another link for a Teams meeting that you can leave this meeting and click on that one, where board staff will be available to answer any questions about the motion that you just heard and about the PHP referral process. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You have a good one. Bye-bye.
And that is the only licensure applicant for agenda item number 7.
All right, very good. So we will then move on to item number 8, discussion, recommendation, and possible action regarding proposed orders offered by the executive director, which there are none. Item number 9, discussion, recommendation, and possible action regarding approval, rescinding, or denial of program or instructor. There are none. Item number 10, report on program approvals and renewals.
There are 5 NCT renewal program approvals and 1 LMRT program renewal that does meet all the requirements and has been approved by the executive director. This is just a report, so no motion needed.
Great, thank you. Then we will move on to item number 11, reports and discussion regarding the investigation, litigation, and compliance departments.
Sure, that's are just reports. They don't require any votes, but just to kind of give you an idea of what's here, the first one is the enforcement activity report. This includes things like the number of ISCs, number of complaints received, the number of disciplinary actions taken, SOA cases. There's nothing on that report that jumps out at me. It's just kind of continues the standard format that we've kind of seen. But if there are questions about any of these reports when we get to the end, let me know. The second category in B there are the warning letter reports. It's been a while since you guys have had some warning letters for your rad techs. There are some in there for you. There's one actually, it doesn't require a vote. That one, you're going to see a few more warning letters, I think, because we are doing the CME audits again. And so we are giving folks who, if they get selected for an audit and can't show that they've done their continuing education, they are getting a warning letter. This is a one-time thing. So if the same licensee gets another audit and they don't pass, they will not be eligible for a warning letter. They would move up to a remedial plan at that point. But we do have that process right now. You also have the report on criminal case reviews. This includes things like any arrests or convictions for all license types, including your folks, the radiological technologists. So that is also an incredibly consistent report that seems to show the same data year over year. So that's a good thing. It shows that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing and keeping an eye on that. The next one are the year-old cases, both for investigations and the litigation department. And these numbers are also very good. If you compared them to past years, you would see that the numbers are actually a little ahead of where they would normally be at this time of year, which is a very good reflection of the hard work that both the investigations and the litigation department are doing to keep those numbers down. That would reports in item 11 and concludes this agenda item unless there are questions for me.
Any questions from the board members? All right, very good. Thank you so much. We will move on to item number 12, consideration and approval of membership of the expert physician panel. There are none. Item number 13, discussion and possible action regarding review of probationers' appearances. None. Item number 14, follow-up files. None. Item number 15, cases recommended for dismissal.
Okay, that's me again. So these are the cases that are coming out of the investigations of the litigation department for where staff is recommending dismissal. We can go through these by board member, and when we get to you, if you have any that you would like to pull for discussion, just let us know. Otherwise, if you want to make a motion, you can just make one motion for all cases assigned to you. The motion would be to accept the recommendation for dismissal. So the first group of cases are assigned to Ms. Landreth. Are there any cases assigned to you that you would like to pull for discussion?
No.
Okay, then would you like to make a motion?
I would like to move to accept. How do I word it?
You would be moving to accept the recommendation for dismissal of all cases assigned to you on agenda item 15.
There we go. I would like to move to accept the recommendations on those dismissals.
Dr. Khan, you can call for the second.
Yeah, could I get a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, so a motion made by Ms. Landreth and seconded by Ms. Waddell to accept the recommendations for dismissal on this item. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? Nay, the motion passes. The cases are approved for dismissal.
Okay. The next set are under agenda item 15B, and these are the first set are assigned to Dr. Beckman. Dr. Beckman, are there any cases assigned to you that you would like to pull for discussion?
No.
And then would you
So
like
I'd
to
like
make
to-
a motion?
I would like to make a motion to accept staff's recommendation for dismissal of all the cases assigned to me.
I'll second.
Okay, so motion to approve the recommendations for dismissal, seconded by Ms. Parker. All in favor? No? Oh, was that Ms.
It was Miss Brandt, I think.
Brandt? Okay, sorry, off the screen. All right, seconded by Ms. Brandt. All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? All right, that motion. No.
And would you like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the recommendation of staff for dismissal of the case assigned to me.
I second that.
Okay, motion made, seconded by Ms. Parker. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion, any against? All right, motion passes.
Okay, and I don't believe we had any to assign to Ms. Lutz or Mr. Marin, so I think that concludes agenda item 15.
All right, thank you so much. We will move to agenda item 16, appeals. There are none. correct?
There
There's
is
one.
actually, yeah,
There's one.
there is actually one there. And it is assigned to Dr. Beckman. Dr. Beckman, it would be the same process. You can, if you would like to discuss it, bring it up for discussion or make any motions, you can do so at this time.
I mean, we can discuss. So the case was of a MRI tech who had had a complaint filed because of poor technique on by the by the person filing the complaint on performing an MRI, which caused an imaging finding that had previously been diagnosed on an MRI in 2013 to not be present on the current MRI. According to the respondent, they had performed the MRI technique with standard of care. They'd given contrast appropriately. Images had been reviewed by the radiologist, who also agreed that the imaging was appropriate. It did not seem like they had violated standard of care. So my recommendation or my motion would be to deny the appeal. That's correct. If I deny the appeal, I'm denying the complainant's appeal that the respondent violated the MRT rules.
Yes, sir. If the appeal is denied, the case will remain dismissed.
Yeah. So I would recommend to deny the appeal.
I'll second that.
All right, very good. I wasn't sure. There was two people who seconded at once.
Ms.
One was
Whiteout.
me.
Mhm.
Okay, so motion by Dr. Beckman, seconded by Ms. Parker. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay. Any against? It seemed like, to me, just reading through it, it seemed like the complaint was should have been more physician-related complaint than technologist-related, but that's just a aside. We'll move on to the next item then. Any other appeals? No?
That was the only appeal.
All right. Moving on to the next, which is agenda item number 17, consideration and approval of determination of default.
Okay, and on these, I believe Ms. Swanholm will be handling these for the litigation department, and I see her on the screen.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Palazzola. So just to kind of remind you about what we have here for defaults, these are cases that went through an investigations process, went through an ISC, and then went to SOA because there was no resolution in that investigations period. At SOA, the State Office of Administrative Hearings, we have an obligation to provide notice to the address of record for the respondent. If they don't respond, if they don't appear at the hearing on the merits after that proper notice, then the State Office of Administrative Hearings judge, that administrative law judge, may enter a default order. And all four of these cases, that's essentially what happened. I'll go through them one by one, and you'll need to take a vote on each one of them. So the first one in front of you is an MRT, Mr. Ruben Cordova. The complaint was filed on January 12th, 2023. It related to an order violation of a previous order you issued in 2020, and then also adjudicated or was intending to adjudicate 2 guilty pleas for felony DUIs that came forward. The hearing on the merits was held on April 5th. He did not show up. A default order was issued by the SOA ALJ, that administrative law judge. Notice was sent properly. The ALJ found notice was properly sent. We've also sent notice of today's hearing to Mr. Cordova. We've had no response. So you do have a proposed default order in front of you today. If you would like to adopt that order of default, you would need a vote, a motion and a second and a vote. Thank you.
Just Dr. Khan, just before any action, just is anyone out there representing Mr. Cordova or Mr. Cordova present? If they would like to raise their hand or take themselves off mute, now would be the time.
All right, are we okay to proceed and need somebody to make a motion? And second.
How do you make the motion for this?
So a suggested motion could be a motion to adopt the proposed order as drafted by staff.
Okay. I motion to accept the proposed order drafted by staff.
I'll second.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt the motion, the order as drafted by staff? Thank you. We have a second by motion made by Ms. Parker, seconded by Ms. Waddell. No?
Yes.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? All right, motion carries.
All right, the next case in front of you is an NCT, Ms. Amy Edwards. The complaint was filed with SO on January 20th, 2023. The complaint related to an agreed resolution that she entered into with the board on February 2021, requiring her to comply with some court-ordered requirements related to an arrest for injury to a child, elderly disabled with intent to harm. Our allegations included that she did not comply with that agreed resolution, and we were pursuing action at SOA based on that. The hearing on the merits was held April 5th. She did not show up. Notice was properly found by the administrative law judge, and a default order was issued on April 6th. The proposed default order was also sent to her, same proper notice, same address, record. She has not responded to it. We'd like to give her a moment to see if she does appear today before considering the proposed default order in front of you as drafted by staff.
Yes, and if anyone is here for Ms. Amy Edwards or if Ms. Edwards is online, again, just raise your hand or start speaking. Ready to proceed.
All right,
I
we're
move that
okay.
we accept the proposed default order as presented by staff in this case.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the default order as submitted by Ms. Waddell, seconded by Ms. Parker. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? All right, the motion carries. Order is approved.
All right, thank you. The next case you have in front of you is an MRT, George Pichardo, excuse me. So a complaint was filed on January 12th, 2023. It related to him pleading guilty to online solicitation of a minor with sexual contact, which is a felony. We provided notice of the complaint, notice of the hearing. He did not show up at the hearing. The hearing was held on April 5th, 2023. The default order was issued by the judge, also finding notice was proper on April 6th, 2023. Board staff sent out information about today's hearing as well as the proposed default order to him at his address of record. We've had no response. You do have that proposed order in front of you today, and if you want to give him a moment, if he is here to make an appearance, and then if you want to adopt it, you would need a motion.
And once again, anyone here for Mr. Pichardo? Proceed.
Okay, we're okay to proceed with a motion.
I motion to accept the default order proposed by staff.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the determination of default order prepared by staff by Ms. Parker and seconded by Ms. Brandt. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? All right, order is passed.
Okay, and the last one you have in front of you today, as far as default orders go, is an MRT, Richard Wayne Wilmuth. The complaint was filed with the State Office of Administrative Hearings on January 12th, 2023. It relates to impairment, substance use disorder, and a lack of compliance with Texas PHP. The hearing on the merits was held on April 5th. The default order was issued on April 6th. The ALJ found that notice was properly given. He did not show up. We have provided notice of today's hearing as well as the proposed default order that you have in front of you. If you'd like to give him a moment, and then if you'd like to adopt that order, you would need a vote.
Anyone present for Richard Wayne Wilmuth? We're okay to proceed.
I
All right,
move
we
that
are-
I move that we adopt the proposed default order as presented by staff on this case.
I second.
All right, very good. So we have a motion to adopt the determination of default order as presented by staff by Ms. Waddell and seconded by Ms. Parker. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? All right, the motion passes.
And that's it for this agenda item. Thank you very much, board members.
Thank you so much. We will move on to item number 18, which is consideration and approval of proposal for decision. There are none. Then moving on to item number 19, consideration and approval of termination request orders.
And these will require, these next few agenda items will require a vote, and the motion is to approve the order as presented for adoption.
All right, could I have a motion?
Yeah, I move to approve the order as adopted, presented for adoption.
I'll second the motion.
All right, we have a motion to adopt the modification request, termination request as presented by Dr. Beckman and seconded by Mr. Moran. All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? All right, the motion passes.
And just to clarify, of course, you don't have to make the motion to approve it. If anybody does have any questions or concerns about an order, you can definitely pull it for discussion as well. So just clarify that as well. But that concludes agenda item 19.
All right, very good. Thank you. We'll move on to agenda item 20, which is discussion, recommendation, and possible action agreed orders.
The same types of motions here too for agenda item 20. It would be to adopt, if you wanted to make a motion to adopt, it would be to adopt the orders as presented under agenda item 20.
Yeah, I would move to approve all three orders as, to adopt all three orders as presented.
I'll second
I'll second
that.
the motion.
Okay, we have a motion to adopt the recommendations of all three orders as presented by Dr. Beckman and seconded 1 second earlier than Mr. Moran by Ms. Waddell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against?
Aye.
All right, the motion is approved. The orders are accepted. All right, next item number is item number 21, discussion, recommendation, and possible action regarding remedial plans.
The same process here.
I motion to accept the recommended orders under item number 21.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the orders for possible action regarding remedial plans under item 21 by Ms. Parker, seconded by Ms. Landreth. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? All right, the motion is approved. The orders are accepted. That concludes item number 21. Moving on to item number 22, discussion, recommendation, and possible action regarding mediated settlement orders. There are none. Moving on to item number 23, discussion, recommendation, and possible action regarding non-pro-tunc orders. There are none. Item number 24, consideration and approval of cease and desist orders. There are none. Item number 25, consideration and approval of agreed resolutions. There are none. Item number 26, consideration and approval of consent orders. There are none. Item number 27, report on cease and desist orders approved by Executive Director. There are none. Item number 28, report on automatic orders actions.
And this is just a report. It does not require a vote, but if there are questions, we can take questions.
Any questions by the board members? All right, thank you. That concludes item number 28 then. Item number 29, discussion, recommendation, and possible action regarding the proposed amendments to 22 TAC Chapter 194, Medical Radiologic Technology. There are none. Item number 30, discussion, recommendation, and possible action regarding the adoption of proposed amendments to 22 TAC Chapter 194, Medical Radiologic Technology. There are none. And moving on to item number 31, open forum for public comments.
This would be an opportunity for anybody attending the meeting. There is no one in the room with us, but if there's anybody online who would like to speak, you have 3 minutes to address the board. You could either raise your hand or just start speaking and we'll figure it out from there. Does not appear. Give it just a few more seconds in case somebody's trying to take themselves off of mute. I think we're good to proceed.
All right, thank you. We will move on then to item number 32, consideration and approval of the February 3rd, 2023 board meeting minutes and action items in your Laserfish.
That
I
will
move to
need a
approve.
motion.
I move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the minutes from the prior meeting on February 3, 2023, the board meeting minutes from Dr. Beckman and seconded by Ms. Waddell. All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? All right, the motion to approve the minutes passes. Very good. Thank you. I will move on to,
3%.
okay, better move on to item number 33, which is the motion to adjourn the meeting. Can I have a motion, please?
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn the meeting by Ms. Parker and seconded by Dr. Beckman.
When on
All in
audio.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, the motion is, we are now adjourned from the board meeting of the Medical Radiologic Technology Board at 9:57 a.m. on 6/23/2023. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.